The neon glow of the drunken oyster pulsed around me, each flash a painful reminder of the disaster my life had become. 7 years. 7 long, agonizing years I'd spent orbiting around Chad Anderson. In high school, I, Ashley Miller, was his unpaid tutor, his personal lunch delivery service, his designated seat saver, and even, God help me, his wingwoman for other girls. In college, the secretary title stuck, evolving into personal assistant and right-hand woman. I wrote his love letters, managed his schedule, even picked up his dry cleaning. A week ago, we'd had our biggest fight yet. And now, he had the gall to invite me to his engagement party. Nope, I muttered, shaking my head and downing another shot. Not happening. I spotted a guy by the bar, tall, dark, and handsome. Hey, hot stuff, I slurred, grabbing his arm. Marry me. The story you're hearing is called You Are My Sunshine, I Am Your Rain, and it's trending on Storytime with Sasha. Chad Anderson. Total jerk. The kind of guy girls fall over themselves for. His dating history was a saga, a revolving door of beauties. And me. I was the least remarkable of his admirers. Oh, wait, I did have one standout quality. I was a master of self-restraint. I met Chad in high school. Same grade, same class, same desk. Every day, his desk overflowed with colorful love notes and mountains of snacks, enough to make my head spin. Chad's favorite pastime during class was to open each letter like a king reviewing petitions, critiquing them, and then, the best ones, he'd hand to me to use as inspiration for his next love letter. Yep, from that moment on, I was Chad's personal, unpaid love letter ghostwriter. Not that he even needed them. His face alone was enough to make girls swoon. But not me. In high school, I couldn't even look him in the eye, terrified he'd see the adoration bubbling beneath the surface. I liked Chad. How could I not? He was effortlessly cool, athletic, and smart. It seemed like the universe had opened every door for him, while slamming them shut in the faces of ordinary people like me. I poured every ounce of my effort into getting into the same college as him, becoming one of the few familiar faces he knew on campus. But it was useless. Chad quickly surrounded himself with a dazzling crew of the popular crowd, each shining like a star, eclipsing my unnoticed presence. I'd look at my baggy clothes and my slightly pudgy figure, feeling a pang of shame even when Chad just casually greeted me. But when he invited me to hang out, I couldn't refuse. So, for 4 years of college, I transitioned from his love letter scribe to his indispensable assistant, his shadow. Our college friends, more attuned to emotional currents, immediately knew I was crushing on Chad. One rare night, during a drunken get-together, Chad lost a drinking game, and everyone badgered him to answer truthfully. He crossed his legs, shrugging with an air of indifference. As his shoulders rose and fell, my eyes flickered. Someone piped up, "Ashley Miller likes you, do you know that?" Ashley Miller. That was me. My smile deflated like a popped balloon, plummeting to the ground. It was a dark, shadowy place, but in that moment, it felt like a spotlight was shining directly on me, leaving me nowhere to hide. My heart hammered, threatening to burst from my chest. My mind raced, torn between hoping he'd say yes or no. Before I could process, I heard his answer, a thunderous roar shattering the silence. "I know." He turned to me then, serious, as if solving a complex equation. "Ashley, you know I don't like you, right?" Of course, I knew. Like a sunflower constantly turning towards the sun, but the sun doesn't stop for it. Chad was the brilliant sun, and I was just a sunflower, endlessly revolving around him. I didn't answer his question, because my answer didn't matter. Chad's words were the only answer I needed. I knew the solution, but I still tried to solve the problem. In other words, I knew the outcome, but I still willingly played the fool. It wasn't Chad's fault, it was mine. From that day on, the whole world knew I liked Chad, and Chad didn't like me. 7 full years. 7 years of watching girls come and go from Chad's side. When he had a girlfriend, I vanished. When he was single, I reappeared, punctual as a weather forecast. We had an unspoken understanding. No one dared break the thin ice. Until a week ago. Chad asked me to pretend to be his girlfriend to meet his parents. Why me? I asked, bewildered. All those other girls are just flings. My family expects me to marry someone they approve of. And I don't want to get married yet, so I figured you could help me out. His voice was light, as if he were just asking me to see a new movie or try a new restaurant. It's just a favor. You wouldn't say no, would you? He blinked, the corners of his eyes crinkling, exactly like the boy who used to just plop down next to me without a word and say, "Hey, help me out. These girls are driving me crazy. Mind if I sit here?" I'd been helping him for 10 years, counting from that moment. But I didn't want to help anymore. "Chad, you know I like you." He froze, as if he hadn't expected me to bring it up so abruptly. But he quickly regained his composure, a tiny smirk playing on his lips, revealing a slightly crooked tooth on the right side. "Oh, you wanna date me?" I wanted to laugh. "Want to? Of course, I want to. For years, I'd wondered when it would be my turn. So many girls, why not me?" Chad clearly knew, but he pretended not to. I felt slow, and suddenly, it all felt pointless. I stared into his eyes, trying to find a flicker of panic. Nothing. Never anything. He was always perfectly confident when facing me, like a high and mighty king. I turned and walked away, not saying another word. We parted ways in a tense silence. The next day, I still went to work as usual, dedicated and diligent. I even printed out Chad's dating schedule and neatly placed it on his desk. Yet, he started nitpicking. "The water in my cup is cold. Where's my coffee today? Boss hasn't left yet. Why are you leaving?" I got a call from Chad the moment I got home, before I'd even had a sip of water. I frowned, uninterested in his nonsense. "Mr. Anderson, anything else?" I put him on speaker and set the phone aside to get water. When I returned, he'd hung up. But that night was far from peaceful. At 12:30 a.m., I got a call from a mutual friend. "Ashley, Chad's completely wasted. Can you pick him up?" I groggily opened my eyes, seeing the pouring rain outside. I hesitated for a second, then grabbed my jacket and left. Chad was indeed dead drunk. It took all my strength to drag him into the car. I was soaked to the bone. Chad kept muttering until I got him home, where he finally seemed a little clearer. "Ashley Miller." He lay sprawled on the sofa, his peach blossom eyes curving as he watched me busily pouring water, making tea, and wiping his face. I said softly. His gentle call of my name made my heart melt, and my voice instinctively softened. "Don't like me anymore." His words, softly spoken, pierced my heart. "Nope, really. I don't like you. You're too nice. I like someone with a bit more personality. And I like bigger breasts and longer legs, and a more V-shaped face." He hugged a sofa cushion, burying his face in the soft fabric, then whispered, "If you were prettier, we could have gotten married." Perhaps it was the cold from my soaking wet clothes, but I felt like I'd fallen into an ice cavern. What was Chad to me? A brilliant sun in the sky, only daring to bask in its light, never looking directly at it. And what was I to Chad? Just a plain, unremarkable cleaning rag. Not pretty enough. Not valuable enough. That night, I cried for a long time, as if mocking my own greed over the years. I left Chad's house key and wrote my resignation letter that very night. I didn't go to work the next day. On the third day, Chad approved my resignation, telling me to pack my things quickly because his new assistant was arriving soon. The night I picked up Chad in the rain, crying all night, I caught a mild fever. My body felt drained of all strength. I asked a close colleague to help me clear my desk. He asked how I wanted to deal with my belongings. I hesitated for a long time before saying, "Throw it all away." When I received my first order, Chad gave me a fountain pen, thanking me for an excellent business plan. A year after he started his company, he gave me a money tree, wishing me success. This year, Chad gave me a model of an immortal flower, saying, "May our friendship never fade." The colleague on the other end of the line sounded hesitant, asking me again. "Yes, throw it all away," I said. His voice suddenly trembled, and then I heard a thud, like someone angrily slamming something down. Immediately after, I heard Chad's voice. "Ashley Miller." I abruptly hung up, not wanting to hear another word from him. But even after closing my phone, his voice echoed in my ears, repeating the same phrase. If you were prettier, we could have gotten married. Tears welled up again. Ashley Miller, don't cry anymore. You're just not pretty enough. Just not pretty enough. For some reason, the rumor that Ashley Miller, Chad's loyal dog of 7 years, was finally fired spread like wildfire among our mutual friends. Some nosy ones even called me to confirm. Sarah Chen was one of them. Ashley, why aren't you working at Chad's company anymore? This was the 4th call I'd received today. I was losing patience. I want a new job. Out of politeness, I still answered her. Oh, well, do you want me to recommend you to my company? The benefits aren't as good as Chad's, but I promise they won't make you do all those random tasks like before. She giggled, her voice sweet as sugar, but every word was designed to provoke. I twirled my pen and tapped it lightly on the corner of my desk, refusing to tolerate it any longer. No thanks. Your company is too small, it doesn't meet my job criteria. I didn't leave Chad's company because of the company itself, but because I don't like him anymore, and I'm not going to chase him anymore. You don't need to keep spreading rumors that you couldn't get him because I was around. Go ahead and pursue him. If you manage to win him over, I'll change my last name to yours. I hung up, feeling a strange sense of liberation. I got up and cooked myself a super instant ramen, adding eggs, sausages, and pickled vegetables. A feeling of pure bliss washed over me. So this is what it felt like not to hold back. But my joy was short-lived. I received a WeChat message from Sarah Chen. She invited me to her engagement party with Chad. That's right, her engagement party with Chad. She even sent another message. Ashley Miller, remember to bring a fat envelope. I was so choked with anger that I instinctively reached for my phone to call Chad and ask if he was insane. How could he joke about marriage? But then, I sobered up. Chad never joked about big things. Although his private life was a bit messy, he'd never been careless about important matters. I asked my friends in the group to confirm. I wasn't the only one invited. My mood immediately plummeted. Chad was really getting married. And to Sarah Chen. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. My chest felt tight, ready to explode. Chloe, let's go get a drink. Chloe, my best friend since childhood, saw my years of unrequited love and furiously cursed Chad, calling him a scumbag, cursing him from his roots. After she finished, I felt much better. Then I drank myself into oblivion. When I woke up, I was surrounded by unfamiliar sights. Unfamiliar wallpaper, an unfamiliar bed, and an unfamiliar man. I shrieked, bolting upright, my head spinning. Are you okay? The man next to me was startled and quickly sat up, moving closer to me. I took a closer look at him, a high-nosed bridge, tan and athletic skin, deep-set eyes, and a neat, short haircut. He looked clean and masculine, making me feel surprisingly at ease. But this wasn't the time to admire his looks. Who are you? I stammered, my voice trembling. He probably saw the sheer panic in my eyes. He looked a little flustered. You don't remember? I stared at him, my face screaming, of course, I don't. He swung his legs off the bed, and I caught a glimpse of his toned abs. I quickly squeezed my eyes shut. Don't get distracted by pretty things. Look. I heard his voice and followed his gaze. He was holding a video. In the video, I was clearly wasted, clutching his shirt, my mouth asking, "Hey, handsome, marry me." My pupils contracted. I only heard him laugh in the video, asking, "You want to marry me?" In the video, I bit my lip, as if thinking, then began a self-introduction. My name is Ashley Miller, I'm 26 years old, graduated college in 20XX, worked at Tech Solutions for 3 years. I have some savings, probably a few tens of thousands. I have a car, still paying it off. No debt. Although I'm unemployed right now, I'm very capable and will find a job soon. Video me wobbled closer, saying, "Let's get married. I guarantee twins in 3 years." I immediately slapped the phone out of his hand, leaping up in a panic, intending to run out. I was really drunk. Don't take it seriously. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I apologize for bothering you. I kept apologizing, my mind still a mess, rushing towards the door. The man gently followed, saying, "It's okay." It wasn't until my hand was on the doorknob that he spoke. "But we already registered our marriage." "What?" I spun around to see him holding two bright red marriage certificates, so dazzling they made my eyes hurt. I quickly snatched them from his hand. Clearly written on them were, "Female, Ashley Miller, male, Leo Davies." Leo Davies. The name sounded familiar. No, wait. I suddenly snapped to attention. You, why didn't you stop me?" I glared at him, my voice full of anger. The man in front of me looked flustered. I did try to stop you, but you insisted on going to the civil affairs office, saying you had to get married today." "Me?" I asked, disbelievingly. "How could I?" Leo showed me another video. In it, I was clinging to his arm, mumbling, "It's so hard to find a handsome guy like this. Can't let him get away. Can't let him get away." My whole body turned to stone. What's the scariest thing after getting drunk? Not having someone tell you embarrassing stories, but gaining a husband, and that husband is now replaying the entire registration process with you. I looked up at the ceiling. Why did I drink during the day? If it were at night, I could sleep it off and wake up sober. But it was still broad daylight, and I was already married. I didn't say anything for a long time. Leo, who was still on the bed, slowly spoke. "My name is Leo Davies. I'm 26 years old, graduated college in 20XX, same school as you. I'm currently an entrepreneur, founder of Davies Tech. I have a few $100,000 in my account, a car, and a house. I'm capable and can take care of a family." He leaned closer to me and added, "My body is very healthy. My latest medical checkup was yesterday. You can see it if you want. While I can't guarantee twins in 3 years, if you want, I can definitely cooperate." If looks could kill, I would have dissected the man in front of me into 8 pieces. But alas, I was the one who said those words. I just wished I could time travel and cut out my own tongue. I took a deep breath and asked, Leo?" The man in front of me nodded obediently, looking like a well-petted puppy. "Yesterday, I was really drunk. And I'm really, truly sorry about what happened. But I'm not ready for marriage. If you agree, can we arrange a time to get a divorce?" I knew I was in the wrong and carefully observed his reaction, so guilty I didn't dare look him in the eye. He suddenly chuckled softly. "My family's been hounding me to get married for years. Now that I've told them I'm married, my parents are overjoyed and are on their way." I shot up. No, we don't even know each other." I stammered, flustered. Leo also stood up, leaning down to look me directly in the eye. "We introduced ourselves, didn't we? Anything else you want to know, I can tell you." I waved my hands frantically. "We don't understand each other at all." "Then we can slowly get to know each other later," he said, still smiling, his voice gentle as if nothing was wrong. "Besides, I think we're a good match." He added slowly. I felt like 2 plumes of grey smoke were rising from my head. Before I could think of a reason to refuse, he lowered his gaze, a sad expression on his face. "Okay, I know I'm not handsome, and my circumstances aren't great. But divorce requires a waiting period for reconciliation, usually a month. Can you temporarily pretend to be my wife for this month?" I didn't know whether to argue about him not being handsome or refuse his offer to play his wife. Leo continued. "My mom hasn't been well for years and has always wanted me to have a girlfriend. Yesterday, when she heard I got married, she was so happy she skipped dinner and immediately booked a bus ticket to meet her daughter-in-law. As a son, I really don't want to disappoint her." I rubbed my throbbing forehead, about to refuse, when my phone suddenly lit up. It was Chad. "My engagement party is this weekend. Remember to come and witness my happy moment." Even through the screen, I could feel his disdainful gaze. A wave of exhaustion and helplessness washed over me. I looked up at Leo. "If I help you with this, can you help me with something?" At least for now, I didn't want to face Chad alone. Of course. We're husband and wife, aren't we? Leo agreed without hesitation. I frowned, adding, fake husband and wife. Not real. Leo shook the red marriage certificate in his hand, deliberately emphasizing real. I reluctantly agreed. Fine, just one night. When your mom comes, just tell her we're not compatible. Leo was silent. I assumed he'd agreed. I'll go home tonight. We'll see your mom tomorrow. I hadn't even finished my sentence when Leo blocked my path. They're taking the 6 a.m. bus. I promised to pick them up with you. Your parents will be staying here for a week. It's dangerous and inconvenient for you to go home now. My house has plenty of rooms. You can stay here. I'll sleep in the living room and wake you up tomorrow morning. My eyebrows furrowed further. His words were so smooth, I couldn't help but suspect he'd planned everything beforehand, step by step, without a single flaw. Perhaps my gaze was too sharp, because he lowered his voice and added, "Does that sound okay?" Of course, it didn't sound okay to me, but his reasoning was too good. I had to consider it myself. Okay, then. This week, I'll inconvenience you by staying at your place. I'll try my best to make you comfortable. I'll sleep on the floor in the room, I promise not to bother you. Thank you so much, really. He finished speaking and bowed 90 degrees in front of me. Haha, okay. I took a step back, maintaining distance from my wildly beating heart. After much thought, there was no other way. He was also innocent, dragged into this marriage registration by me. Consider it self-inflicted. I cleared my throat and laid out my conditions. Leo nodded obediently, promising to help me save face. It's not about saving face, really. I just don't want to go to the party alone. I tried to explain, to lighten the mood. Leo had already backed out of the room, obediently curling his lips into a smile. Good night, wife. I stood there, dumbfounded, unable to accept the title of someone's wife. Even though my life had taken a huge turn, I still slept soundly. The next morning, I was woken by the sunlight streaming through the window. I rubbed my eyes, stretched, and sniffed the air. I was absolutely sure it was the smell of food, like porridge. Oh no, I overslept. I flung open the bedroom door and saw Leo standing in the halo of light by the door, smiling at me. You're awake. Come out and eat breakfast. A sound came from the kitchen. 2 heads popped out. The woman looked very young, not at all like someone over 50. The man wore an apron, holding a ladle. They looked at me with eyes that seemed to say, "Oh my, what a pretty young lady." It made me a little self-conscious. I walked closer to Leo, whispering, "Why didn't you call me? You said yesterday you'd wake me up to go together." He casually put his arm around my shoulder and smiled. "I wanted to let you sleep in a little more." Leo's mom walked over and took my hand. "My dear, I know. You must have been so tired yesterday, right?" I froze, understanding immediately. Was she implying what I thought she was? No, it couldn't be. Not really. "Hello, Auntie." I forced a smile and bowed. Oh, she called me Auntie. Leo's mom teased me. Must be because we haven't given her the red envelope yet to change the address. Leo's dad took off his apron and came out of the kitchen, wiping his hands. "Oh, right. Hurry and give our daughter-in-law her welcome gift." Leo's mom seemed to remember, urging Leo's dad. All right, don't rush." Leo's dad rushed into the inner room, brought out a box, and handed it to Leo's mom. Both of them waited for me to open it. I quickly shot a pleading look at Leo. He didn't even look at me, only at the box. I gritted my teeth and opened the box. AAAR. It was sparkling gold. A shiny gold bracelet. "I told you it would fit perfectly," Leo's mom said, pulling out the bracelet and putting it on my wrist. "Wait, Auntie, I quickly waved my hand. Leo held my hand tightly. His grip was a little strong, making me momentarily stunned. "What's wrong?" I asked softly. He quickly regained his normal expression and said, "My mom likes to give gifts. If you don't wear it, She'll think you don't like it. She might even drag you to buy a new one tomorrow. Don't you like this one? Of course, I do. Hearing him, I immediately let go. Worst case, I wear it for a month. I can return it when we divorce, I thought to myself. Leo. I called him as he was about to leave. This weekend, you remember, right? Chad's engagement party. You remember. Don't worry, Leo smiled reassuringly. The next few days, Leo went to work, and his mom dragged me around, shopping endlessly. I was constantly braced for questions from his parents, but they didn't ask anything. They didn't ask where I was from, what I did, what my income was, or when we were getting married. They just quietly stayed by my side, giving me all their care and affection, making me feel incredibly guilty. My dear, Leo's mom gently called as she arranged flowers. I probed. Don't you have anything you want to ask me? Ask what? She replied. For example, why did you get married so suddenly? Leo's mom suddenly put down her scissors and said seriously, My dear, our family should thank you so much. You've seen our Leo, he's a stubborn one. Leo's mom's eyes drifted, as if remembering something. At first, he told me he liked a girl, but I didn't pay attention. Teenagers, you know? They grow up, they change. Wouldn't he meet better girls in college? She glanced at me. I quickly nodded in agreement. But what was good about it? He never brought a girlfriend home from college. When I asked, he said he wasn't dating anyone. When he started working, he said he was busy. One day, I couldn't take it anymore and asked him directly. He told me to be mentally prepared. He wouldn't get married his whole life. My heart jumped slightly. Although I hadn't known him long, Leo always gave off a very mature impression. I couldn't believe someone like him would refuse to marry because of one girl. What kind of person must she have been to make him so resolute? In short, my boy really likes you, that's why he agreed to marry you. I don't need to ask anything. He likes you, and you're a good girl. Just let the two of you figure it out. Leo's mom smiled gently. I could only force a smile back, not daring to tell the truth. Auntie, I'm so sorry, but I actually got drunk and dragged your son to register our marriage. I feel so guilty. This weekend, I walked into the banquet hall, arm in arm with Leo. Wife, why is this place so small? He whispered in my ear. I dodged him, turning my head to tell him, Don't call me that. Leo lowered his gaze, looking like a scolded puppy. Oh, look. Isn't that Ashley Miller? Come to steal the groom. Sarah Chen, wearing a princess gown, walked over, arm in arm with Chad. Chad, dressed in a white suit matching her dress, looked like a prince from a fairy tale, regal and aloof. My heart tightened, and my eyes immediately welled up. The boy I'd chased for so many years, the man I'd loved for 10 years, was getting engaged today. I lowered my head to hide my turmoil. Ashley Miller, I heard Chad's voice, but before he could finish, Hello, I'm Leo Davies, Ashley's husband. The air froze. I almost didn't dare to look up at Chad's eyes, fearing to see disgust in them. Bang! A loud crash made me stumble. Chad had shoved Leo down. What did you say? I frantically pulled at Chad. What are you doing, Chad? There are so many people watching. Today's your engagement party. Forget it. Chad threw my hand off, sending me sprawling to the ground. You really are toxic, Ashley Miller. Chad stood up, adjusted his suit, and looked down at me, chin raised. Just because I said a few things when I was drunk, you disappeared without a trace and even quit your job, he said, kicking over a table of pastries next to him, sending plates crashing to the ground. You wouldn't answer my calls, wouldn't reply to my messages. Well done, Ashley Miller. I froze. Leo stepped forward and pulled me up, but Chad punched him. Who is this guy? I've never seen him before. Where did he crawl out from? His handsome face was distorted. I almost didn't recognize him. I organized this engagement party to see you again. All that effort in preparing, and you bring another man? And you dare to get married? I froze, struggling to speak. Are you insane, Chad? Chad, You faked this entire engagement party. I am insane. If I wasn't, how could I have fallen for you? I thought I'd misheard. What did you say? Thwack. Leo sprang up and punched Chad in the face. The two men lunged at each other again, fighting. The guests screamed, and someone called the police. My mind was a chaotic mess. Should I regret the ruined engagement party? Or be surprised by Chad's sudden aggression? Or doubt that inexplicable confession? The two men fought more fiercely, knocking over tables and chairs. I still stood there, dazed, until I reacted. A table full of champagne came crashing towards me. Watch out! Chad's voice yelled. Don't! I could barely breathe, a cold dread seizing me. Just before the darkness swallowed me whole, Leo's jacket landed over my head, followed by his arms wrapping around me. Don't be scared, he murmured, his voice gentle. What are you thinking about? Leo's voice startled me as he appeared behind me, gently draping his jacket over my shoulders. Just wondering about your injury. I lied, pulling the jacket down and putting it back on him. Leo shrugged nonchalantly. It's fine. I instinctively wanted to argue, but the words caught in my throat. All I could see was Chad's face as he left the party, his eyes red-rimmed as if he were about to cry. Ashley Miller, he'd choked out. I said I liked you. Do you still want to be with him? Leo stood beside me, silent, his brows furrowed in a tight knot, looking utterly pained. Without turning back, I guided him out the door. Leo's injuries weren't serious, just needing a quick patch-up at the hospital before we headed home. That night, the sky was clear, the stars sparkling. Long nights always stir up countless thoughts. Thanks for tonight, I mumbled, twisting my fingers. Leo chuckled softly. I told you not to be formal. We're married, after all. Maybe it was my terrible mood, but his words struck me as funny. Leo looked at my face for a moment, then suddenly snapped his fingers in front of me. He cupped his hand over his mouth, tilting his head back. Want a drink? The corners of his eyes curved like a crescent moon, his smile a fractured galaxy. I don't know why, but I need to talk to someone. I nodded, the ice in my glass clinking softly, a hazy mist rising. Leo, I turned to his handsome face, my voice soft. Today was Chad's engagement party. Chad is the person I've loved for 10 years. As I said the words, tears streamed down my face. 10 years, over 3,000 days and nights. The person I once loved with all my heart, at his engagement party today, said he liked me. It was so ridiculous, so surreal. Do you understand that feeling? I struggled to find the words. It's like. I turned to Leo. He was also drinking, and finished my thought as if walking in darkness, chasing a light he could never reach. Knowing you can never get close to someone, but still wanting to get just a little closer. Leo just smiled, taking the glass from my hand. Too much drinking is bad for you. Don't drink anymore. He understood that feeling because he had loved someone just like me. Oh! I suddenly remembered. His mom once said he had a long-lost love. What kind of beautiful girl was she? I tilted my head, asking. He looked at me, as if revisiting distant memories, then affirmed, yeah, she was very beautiful. Extremely beautiful. He turned his head and continued. She was like a gentle cloud, calm and forgiving. In my eyes, she was so dazzling I didn't dare look directly at her. Didn't dare look, didn't dare get close, didn't dare take a step forward. Afraid she'd hear my heart pounding, afraid she'd see my confusion, afraid she'd hate my abruptness. Just taking one step towards her became the biggest challenge of my life. I smiled. It's true, the person you love is always radiant, no matter what. You still have to try, right? I said. People need courage. Yeah, I told myself the same thing. I had to be as brave as she was. A girl as gentle as a cloud, but also as brave as fire. I asked softly. Leo subtly curled his lip, and I noticed a small dimple on his left cheek. It felt very familiar, as if I'd seen it somewhere before. We went to the same college, didn't we? Have we ever? Before I could finish, my phone rang. It echoed loudly in the quiet night, illuminating my pale face. The name on the screen stood out. Chad. I watched the screen flicker on and off, then on again. Finally, Chad just sent one message: "We need to talk." In that moment, I instinctively grabbed my phone, as if to hide it, but once I held it, I felt a little lost. "Go," Leo said, still smiling. I suddenly remembered that he always smiled like that since we first met, only smiling at me. His clear, gentle eyes made me feel guilty. "Don't worry. I'll take you." Leo stood up and handed me a jacket. "It's cold at night. Don't catch a cold. If you want to be with him, we'll get our divorce on time. If you don't want to be with him anymore, then I have something to tell you." The last thing Leo said to me before I got out of the car was, "I've known you for a very, very long time." The night wind was indeed a bit chilly. I pulled my jacket tighter, seeing Chad standing not far away, a tall, slender figure leaning against his car, a cigarette tip glowing in his fingers. We looked at each other from afar, amidst the busy traffic, like an uncrossable moat. 10 years weren't enough. In the end, it was always me walking alone. "You got out of his car. Have you been waiting long?" We spoke at the same time. I gently closed my eyes. My habit of caring for Chad was deeply ingrained in my bones, while he still instinctively questioned me. We were never equals. After a moment of silence, no one wanted to answer, and no one wanted to say more. "Let's find somewhere to talk," Chad said first. "Let's not talk here. The bone-chilling wind is making me sober." Chad put out his cigarette, crossed his arms, and looked at me. "I like you. Don't play games anymore. Cut ties with that guy today, and come back to work tomorrow." Chad spoke as if reciting from memory. I looked at his face, from his eyebrows to his eyes, to his nose, and his lips, little by little, missing no detail. I thought, Chad hasn't really changed. All these years, he's still the type of person I like, arrogant, dazzling, and distant. It was me who tried to turn the moon in the sky into someone by my side. I was too greedy. Chad, 10 years ago, the first time we met, I thought, he's so handsome. How can anyone be so beautiful? You walked into the classroom from the door, like the sun scorching my eyes. You sat next to me, and my heart felt like it stopped beating. Later, you often said I seemed aloof, unlike other girls, but in reality, I was overjoyed. I just didn't dare to speak, only pretending to read, afraid you'd see the joy in my eyes, afraid you'd get bored, afraid you'd regret it. I chuckled, like a casino owner who finds a treasure, afraid it will be stolen, only wanting to close shop forever. Throughout the years that followed, you were always the priceless gem in my heart. Being able to sit next to you, going to school became what I looked forward to most. Being with you made life radiant. I looked up at him. Because of you, I feel my youth was truly meaningful. It's because I love you. It's just that I love you. Chad glared, arguing, "You said you loved me too." I stepped closer, gently placing my hand on his shoulder. "You don't love me. You don't understand yet. But you will later. Loving someone should make you proud, make you absolutely happy, not hesitant, ashamed, or heartbroken." Chad hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. "No, it's not like that. It's just that I didn't understand before. Now I do. Really." Chad's voice was rushed, with a slight tremor. I smiled, patting his shoulder. "I've seen how you truly love someone. In college, you liked the campus queen. Every time you mentioned her, your eyes lit up. I saw that genuine look in you, so I never dared to get close. Chad, you know what? I'm so grateful to you. Incredibly grateful." I gently removed his hands, maintaining a comfortable distance between us. The night wind suddenly softened. The light in front of me shimmered like water. Since I was little, I was always the most unremarkable girl in class. Ordinary looks, not outstanding in academics. Besides studying diligently, there was nothing that made teachers praise me to my parents. But I met you, and I liked you, like a sudden ray of light illuminating my dull life. To this day, I've never felt that loving you was something to be ashamed of. I've always thought it was a beautiful thing. You made me feel how brilliant my youth could be. I looked directly into Chad's eyes and softly said, Chad, let's stop here. My youth, those years that can't be turned back, it all ends today. I don't agree. Chad squeezed my shoulders, forcing me to look into his eyes. I don't agree. He was right. A young man favored by heaven. How could he accept rejection? I thought I could understand Chad's feelings. Can you please not make me feel like loving you has become a burden? I whispered, let's end things between us here. Don't cry. In my eyes, you will always be that young man. I will never forget that teenager who embraced the light, telling me he could do anything. I will forget the Chad who I rejected and the tears he shed. I turned to leave, but Chad pulled me back. You say stop, and it stops. What about me? Is my affection, my love, meaningless in your eyes? Chad's questions echoed in my ears. What could I do? Time isn't like a clock hand that circles back. It's a river that only flows forward. In my future, you are no longer there, Chad. I, too, once hoped that time was a circle, so I could forever see the person I loved most, the one I could never forget, in the most brilliant sunset of a day, red like the setting sun. He asked me, hey, classmate, can I sit here? Everything held its breath, only the sound of my heart beating remained. The world shook. For all 10 years of my secret love, I once wondered if I would be tied to Chad forever, living under his light. But reality proved otherwise. Why? Step by step, I slowly moved away from Chad, continuously asking myself, why? In front of me, traffic flowed endlessly, but in my heart, there was a vast emptiness. I walked aimlessly, like a stray cat with nowhere to go, until I looked up and saw someone standing not far ahead, beneath the dim yellow streetlights, holding 2 cups of hot milk tea. I didn't know what you would decide. Leo quickly walked towards me. But I thought if you rejected him, I should take you home. It's late and not safe. He said this as he pressed a steaming cup of milk tea into my hand. The warmth began to spread through my limbs, like finding a fire after crossing a snowy mountain. I had found Leo. What's wrong? Perhaps my tears were too intense, making Leo flustered, but I just smiled and asked him, can you tell me about your secret crush? I saw his hand clenching the cup, his lips trembling, his eyes lost. It all mirrored my own image from years ago, when I answered Chad's question. My name is Leo Davies. In high school, I really liked a girl. And that dimple on her left cheek. We've known each other for a very long time, haven't we? Yeah, a very long time. How long? The cold September wind carried Leo's voice. 10 years and 18 days. Finally, I'm standing in front of you. Fireflies darted beneath the streetlights, their warm yellow glow stretching our 2 shadows. Cars kept moving, stars still twinkled above, but time seemed to have stopped in this moment. I looked at the man in front of me, his eyes carrying a warm smile. In that desolate landscape, I once again heard my heart pound. Will tomorrow be a beautiful day? Will this be a happy ending? I don't know, but I still want to be a little braver and try. Do you want to hear more? Leo took a step forward, a little closer to me. There was still an arm's length between us, a distance that could be stretched if I refused. I didn't hesitate, taking a step forward. We were close enough to hear each other's breaths. I want the rest of the story. In the end, I still couldn't bring myself to walk into the Civil Affairs Bureau on the exact 1-month mark. Someone, Leo, argued that since we were going to register anyway, why waste national resources now? I sternly reminded him that we were only in the getting to know each other phase and that he wasn't allowed to take liberties under the guise of being husband and wife. He nodded, feigning understanding, and then casually asked how long the getting to know each other phase would last. Could it be 3 years and then twins? I slapped him and kicked him out. Even though he enthusiastically invited me to work at his company, promising an easy job and convenient care, I firmly refused. I said, no office romance. Absolutely not. The bloody lessons of the past must be remembered. He nodded again, saying he totally understood, and asked if I could find a regular office job so I could come home in the evenings and taste his cooking. I thought about it for a moment, finding him incredibly annoying, and gave him another slap. Anyway, after I found a stable job and seriously nurtured our relationship with Leo for 2 years, we finally put the cart before the horse and registered our marriage later. After all, he kept insisting that our level of understanding was very normal for a married couple. I strongly suspected this was one of his tricks, but I had no evidence. On my wedding day, I received a package from Chad. I hadn't seen him in a long time. I heard his company was growing, and he was still the radiant young man he used to be. No, the young man in the package was a thick stack of congratulatory money and a longevity lock. Wishing you health, peace, and everything you desire, Ashley. Chad didn't attend my wedding, but he sent a longevity lock for my child. After my daughter was born, I specifically put the lock on her, took a photo, and sent it to thank him. He replied, "The little one looks like you, very pretty." "Of course," I replied, "like me, the prettiest in the world." After sending it, I felt a little embarrassed. These past few years, Leo's constant praise had made me brazen, daring to flatter anyone. I briefly forgot who I was messaging. Just as I was about to retract the message, I saw Chad's reply, "You're still the prettiest." I gently rubbed my fingertips, not messaging anything further. Leo called from outside the room. "Wife, time to feed the baby." I replied, "Coming, coming." The warm sun outside the window was beautiful. I thought, a long, long life. Not everyone is lucky enough to find their own light. But if we keep moving forward, we will surely find our soulmate. In the vast sea of people, as long as it's you, that's enough. So, even if it's a little slow, it's okay. We will eventually wait for it. Leo's side story. The first time I saw Ashley Miller was in the second week of high school. That day, I was carrying a stack of books, walking through the long corridor of the academic building. It was a September afternoon, the air still thick with heat and stickiness. I stopped to rest by the classroom door next to me. Just by tilting my head slightly, I saw a girl bathed in sunlight. Her white uniform made everyone look the same, but she alone seemed to be gilded by the light, like a gift from heaven. She raised her hand to shield her eyes from the sun. I borrowed the sunlight to clearly see her face, almond-shaped eyes, a small nose, chubby cheeks, and skin that seemed to glow in the sun. I almost dropped the books in my hands. Before she looked up at me, I fled in a panic. I asked around and finally learned her name, Ashley Miller. I even shamelessly asked an old middle school friend, "Ashley Miller?" She's quiet and kind. She only really talks to Chad." Chad? I was no stranger to that name. Always in the top 20 of the academic honor roll, smart, handsome, and incredibly popular. I immediately thought of ways to get closer to her. Chad loved playing basketball, so I practiced tirelessly and eventually got to play with their group. "Dude, you're good," Chad said. I smiled, my eyes secretly glancing at the seats by the court. Ashley Miller was sitting there, quietly looking down, seemingly doing homework. Only occasionally would she look up, glance at Chad, then coldly lower her head and continue her work. We were far apart, but that gaze stirred something in me. I knew she liked Chad. I tried not to care, not to ask anything more, but my feelings just kept growing. I couldn't stop myself. Year after year, I watched her study hard to get closer to Chad. I also worked hard, at least to be closer to her. After study hall, she always walked slowly, and I deliberately slowed down to follow behind her. I noticed one thing. Chad always walked 2 steps ahead of her. He never looked back, and she only ever followed his back, never turning her head. I quietly walked 2 steps behind, afraid of being discovered, afraid she'd know I secretly loved her. We were like 3 parallel lines. No matter how close, we would never intersect. Chad's side story. What kind of person is Ashley Miller, you ask? For 10 long years, I thought she was indispensable to me. A reliable friend at work, a close colleague, a dear friend in life. Someone once asked me if I ever briefly thought about being with her. I can't say I never did, but something always held me back. Was it her not beautiful enough face? Her not perfect enough figure? Her 10 years of unchanging stubbornness? I used to think so, but after she left, I realized that wasn't the real reason. What was the real reason? I spent many sleepless nights thinking about it. It was fear. It was cowardice. It was hesitation. I was afraid that taking one more step would break our current relationship. I was cowardly, not daring to admit my feelings. I hesitated, refusing to move forward, only watching her drift away. I regret it. In those 10 years, if only once, just once, I could have firmly returned her gaze. Or just slowed down one step when I knew she was behind me. Or just once, I dared to take her hand. Maybe she wouldn't have left. I don't know, but I should have tried. Like when I made a mistake on a homework assignment as a kid, always hoping for a chance to rewrite it. I started waiting outside her house every day, but for a long time, I didn't see her familiar figure. I couldn't take it anymore and called her. Ashley Miller. Where are you? Why aren't you coming home? The moment she picked up, I couldn't help but yell. The other end was silent for a long time, until I heard, "This is Leo Davies. She's cooking. Do you need me to relay a message?" I was so angry I almost cried. I tried to suppress it. Tell her to pick up the phone. I heard footsteps. "Ashley, your phone." "Oh, didn't you say I could answer?" "Who is it?" It was her voice, the voice I always remembered. "It's Chad," Leo said calmly. Even Ashley casually replied, "Oh." Then she said very clearly, "Chad, what's wrong?" Her voice was still as clear and pleasant as ever. She even turned to Leo and said, "Dish that one out. Wait a sec." My world collapsed right then and there. "Chad, why aren't you saying anything?" My voice choked. What else could I say? "Ashley." I could only call her name. "Her," she replied. "Ashley." I still couldn't say anything, just kept calling her name. When was the last time I cried missing someone? I've forgotten. "Chad, are you drinking?" She was still as gentle as before, as if nothing had ever happened between us. If I had just said I was drinking too much, she would immediately make me a glass of honey water. "No, I just miss you," I said, soberly revealing my longing. "Why aren't you coming home?" I asked. "Oh, you're at my place. That house was rented so I could be closer to you. Now it's not necessary. I've moved." Ashley was always straightforward. When she loved, it was clear. When she didn't, it was also clear. "Can you meet me just once?" I still wasn't willing to give up. "Of course. When?" "I can't wait any longer." Not right now. We're about to eat." We was her and Leo. How could her relationship with Leo come before me? "Let's go out to eat," I said. "Actually, we shouldn't." I knew, with years of experience, that I shouldn't force things like this, but I couldn't help it. I desperately needed proof that she still remembered me. "No, you should go home. Don't wait at the door anymore. If you really want to meet me, someday I'll bring Leo along. We're old friends, of course, I have to introduce my boyfriend to you." I lost completely. Old friends. "Ashley, can you really not give me a chance?" I could almost picture her face on the other end, head down, gently biting her lower lip, hands unconsciously clenching. But her words were something I'd never heard before. "We've said everything there is to say. Get lost. Go home early. It's cold out here." The wind wasn't cold. My heart was. I wanted to shamelessly cling on, but I remembered her saying she didn't want to look back at this relationship later and feel disgusted. I suddenly realized that more than her not loving me, I was afraid she'd hate me. I was afraid she'd hate me so much she wouldn't dare take a step forward. Well then. She waited for me for 10 years. Now it's my turn to wait for her. I waited and waited, year after year. I never saw them break up, but I received a wedding invitation. I ripped the invitation in anger, not attending the wedding, but in the end, I still stood hidden in a corner, quietly watching the entire ceremony. Leo was very good to her. The wedding was so grand, the warm golden lights shining on her, gilding her, just like that afternoon many years ago. I looked up from my desk, turned my head to look at her. She smiled at me, and behind her was the brilliant sunlight. So that was the moment I was moved. I had always missed it.